All right, we are back for another Friday financial wrap up with Mr. Michael Zuber. How are you, Michael?
Doing great. How are you, Ty? Exciting times in the economy, exciting times for you and I to try something a little bit different and have some fun. We'll get into that later, I guess.
I'm excited. Yeah, folks, stay to the end because we've got exciting news. We've talked a little bit about it. Michael is going to be putting out some brand new content, a series. Stay to the very end, but this is for March the 15th, 2024. Let's get right into the show. CPI, what is it and what happened this week?
CPI, Consumer Price Index. This is the first of three inflation readings that we get each month. CPI has a headline and a core number. It has a month on month and a year on year number. So really, when you get CPI, you want to follow four numbers. In short, this week, three of the four came in hotter than expected. Most concerning to me is that CPI headline has stopped, reversed its downward trend. Now, this is only 1 point, nothing to be too concerned about just yet, but it's certainly a worrying concern. Last month, CPI headline was 3.1. This month, it was 3.2. If you don't know what that means, that is the wrong way. We want inflation to go down. We want disinflation to continue. And that did not happen. And more importantly, three of the four metrics were hotter than expected. So inflation, kind of best case, is performing is sticky and is hard to beat. But worst case, it's reaccelerating, and that would be bad. So that's the first of three inflation readings we get each month, CPI.
Okay, let's continue. Very interesting. Obviously, a little hotter than expected. Let's talk about PPI. What is it for somebody who's new and what happened this week?
So PPI is Producer Price Index. You could think of that as wholesale inflation, where CPI is retail, right? Retail and wholesale. PPI, unfortunately, is a rinse and repeat of CPI. It came in hotter than expected. It came in hotter than expected on the headline and core. And again, this is not good. This is, if you step back, this is like the fifth inflation reading in a row that is hotter than expected. This has got to be concerning. And it's another reason the Fed won't cut rates next week. We'll talk more about that at the very end. But I'm starting to think there's, more and more chance that they don't cut until July. And even a July rate cut might be questionable at this point. Some people are calling for a rate increase, which is not crazy talk at this point. It's inflation is performing worse than expected.
Worse than expected. Very interesting. So again, if people look back, the stock market, all the talking heads that do the Wall Street stock market, they're all like thinking, oh, we're through the woods. It's over. You've said it for a long time. We are not through the woods. We have to be vigilant, higher for longer, higher for longer. And so this is actually playing out the way that you've been talking about. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, I think all these calls, I mean, earlier in the year, they were talking about 7 rate cuts. They were talking about a January or March rate cut. All that stuff was crazy talk to me. And now the data's coming in that way.
Very good. Okay. Well, interesting. It's good to be with you. Not necessarily good news, but good to be with Michael Zuber in the One Reel at a Time channel. Let's keep going. So let's talk about retail sales. What happened this week and what's your take on it?
Yeah, retail sales were this was the important number. Even CPI and PPI weren't that important to me. Retail sales were, because why? Because last month retail sales shot negative, right? I believe last month the expectations were calling for a small growth of 0.1 or 0.2, and they came in negative. Retail sales contracted in January. So February was important because A, did the trend continue? Did it get worse? Is the consumer crumbling? Well, uh, it was positive, although not as positive as expected. It was expected to be up 0.8. It was actually up 0.6. And also last month was revised even lower. So last month, I think, came out at negative 0.8. It was revised to negative 1.1. So January was ugly, ugly, ugly. And retail sales for February, they were positive, but not great. A lot of that's inflation, a lot of that's gasoline. So um, the economy is not performing as well as some would like. and a lot of people are getting hurt, and inflation is hard. This could be we could be seeing stagflation happen right in front of our eyes. It's possible.
Very interesting. So is it safe to say, again, something you've been talking about for the last several 2 or 3 months, especially consumers slowing down?
They have to be. It certainly feels that way. Yes.
Okay. Very interesting. And I want to tie this together, something you said this week in the daily financial news, because I think it's appropriate that layoffs, you talked about layoffs in AI, I think yesterday. And so, again, do we see like, does the job number become even more important? The job report number, the JOLTS report,
Yeah.
this is all, everything ties together and we're still in a very uncertain time. Is that accurate?
Yeah. What I would say is we're balancing on a toothpick, and it's the job market, right? The
Yeah.
job market unemployment rate we talked about went up to 3.9 from 3.7. The jobs report last Friday was full of garbage and nonsense. A lot of part-time, not full-time. The headline number of 275 may have looked good, but it was an ugly kind of good. It was complete lipstick on a pig. It was a horrible jobs report. And again on Thursday, right? What we got yesterday was the weekly unemployment claims. That's what I'm looking for. We get that number every Thursday. It's consistent, and it's still in the low 200s. I think it was 209 this week. That number, if the job market breaks, that number is going to break first, and it'll race to over 300, and that's a problem. That will get the Fed's attention. But right now, Jerome Powell is like holding on. He's like, I'm going to keep holding tight. I got to beat inflation. I got to beat Paul Volcker. I got to break the Fed put. And as long as the job market doesn't break, he has cover to do that. So watch jobs, to your point.
Watch jobs. Okay. Very good. And we'll also at the end, we'll talk about the Fed. We're going to talk about Fed meeting. We're going to talk about that. So stay to the very end. So let's keep going. Mortgage rates. What did you see this week and what's your take on it?
Yeah, something I called early Thursday morning, and it'll be interesting to see if this happens. I called Thursday morning that mortgage rates would go over 7%. So as of last week, I believe they broke below 7. I think they went
Right.
as low as like 692 or 689 or something like that.
Yep.
We had a hot CPI reading on Tuesday. They stayed below. We had a hot PPI reading on Thursday. We'll see what happens. But I think by Friday, close of business, I just don't know how mortgage rates don't go back to 7. And if we go back to 7, that tempers demand, right? Where it's all about
Yeah.
marginal demand. And I think the consumer is telling us that 7 is bad and 6 is good. So we'll see. So this is a really early call. I don't know where it'll be, but I think mortgage rates by the end of the week or by the end of today could be over 7%. So be interesting.
Very interesting for sure. I feel like it was something we said all of the second half of last year. We're not through the woods. This isn't over. We're not in the clear. There's still stuff going on in the market. And so uncertainty is a part of it. It's also interesting. Early this week, we were like, oh, are we going to 6.5? Are we going to 6.25? And now we're talking about going back to 7+. So very interesting times, folks. You definitely want to pay attention. Subscribe, like, and follow the channel. Let's talk about the spring selling season, Michael. What is your take? I mean, feels like we're in it.
We got to be in it. I think there is, I think we have a bifurcated housing market. I still think we do, right? I think we have a bifurcated economy, a bifurcated consumer, and a bifurcated real estate market. I am still hearing about properties that are clean, priced below the median for the area, getting multiple offers. I'm hearing about some hot cities doing bad and stupid things like waiving EMDs and inspections, and don't do that. That's not okay. This is why I hope mortgage rates stay at 7, is to temper that, right? If we race to 6.5, we know what happens, and it's not a good outcome. So, yeah, the spring selling season is here. I think if we have rates over 7, which again I hope is coming this week, it slows it down enough that we don't see crazy behavior.
Yeah. Spot on. And I'll say again, I shared this, I think either on the Monday Hub call or last week, but I heard of a property not too far away in one of my markets where it had like 40 offers and just a ridiculous overbid. So again, higher for longer is actually better for everyone because it creates stability in the market. Would you agree with that, Michael?
Yeah, that's what I want. I want the normal housing market. 4 or 5 months of inventory, days on market of 35 days, you know, uh, price to original list price at 98 or 99%. I mean, I remember Beth Traverso in the crazy of crazy market in her market of King County. The average purchase price to list price for the entire month for all transactions was 112%.
Yeah.
That's not
Wow.
good. I don't want that. That's
Yeah.
that's bubblish. That's not good.
Yeah. Wild. Well, higher for longer. We want to see a stable market. And again, for the active investor, for the active one rental at a time community member, that's better for everybody. More opportunity.
Yeah, just slower is better. Slower is better.
Yeah. Let's continue. Something you and I are super excited about. Kind of an announcement. We've announced it a few other times, but we're going to elaborate on it. Tell people about Buying Vegas. Tell people.
Yeah, so if you watch the channel at all, you know that Olivia and I picked up something last year in July. We now have a place there. It will be my permanent residence starting this year, which is awesome. I love Vegas. It's just that the Vegas is not the Strip, right? I've been to Vegas 100 times, but never left the Strip. Vegas is an amazing city, lots of energy, great people, great food. You could chill, you could do all these amazing things, and you could get a lot for your money, which is awesome. I now want to prove that one rental at a time works. I want to create a buy box and I want to buy, upwards of 4 rental properties. And we're going to be recording a show. I envision it being a TV show. That's my vision. We're going to do it with our own people on our own dime. And we're going to start recording Monday. We're going to have our first recording on Monday. We're going to go all day. We're going to feature one of our joint friends and great agent Joe D in episode number 1. And you're going to see us learn Vegas, find a buy box, and it's going to be something that will happen over 3 to 6 months. My intention is to introduce you to other amazing people in Vegas. My intention is to buy positive cash flow. I want everybody to know we're doing this because one of the things we have to do is grow my network. I know 10 people in Vegas. I need to know 200 people in Vegas, 2,000 people. So we've got to get out. We've got a network. So if you're a wholesaler, you have connections in Vegas, you know of a market that we should look at. I am in the information gathering phase. I am just like all of my students. I am looking at my city and going, where should I look? I don't have a buy box, and you're going to look at us create one. And we're going to talk to lots of people. We're going to look at different asset types. And um, yeah, I look forward to just showing the process. I don't think buy and hold is sexy. That's why buy and hold's not on TV. But I think learning the skill can be sexy. So we're going to give it a shot and see what happens. I'm going to spend some more money.
I love it. I would say that for anybody that's watching this, if you are in the Vegas market, a couple of things. If you are a wholesaler and you have deals, or even just, perspective, you're active, definitely we want to hear from you. If you are an active renter, running a portfolio, you have rentals, if you're doing pad split or you're
Yes,
doing
all that.
short-term, mid-term, long-term rentals, all of that, we would love to just network with you
Yep.
and then potentially have you be a part of the show and just kind of connect the dots on, what people are doing in the Vegas market, real estate investment wise. Is that pretty accurate, Michael?
Yeah, and I'll layer on one more thing. You might be a real estate agent and you may know someone who's maybe wants to sell but has owns it
Yep.
free and clear. They don't want to pay taxes. Let's work out a seller financing deal. Again, I can likely pay an above market price, assuming I get terms that allow me to cash flow. Again, folks, I'm trying to do cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. So, yeah, I think there's an agent or two out there that may know someone that wants to talk. I'm a great risk, right? I live out myself out loud. So you can look at my portfolio, other, seller financing deals. I'll make connections. But yeah, I want to prove that networking from scratch in a brand new market can lead to something. So yeah, episode 1 gets recorded Monday. I'm not sure when we'll record episode 2, but I'm focused on episode 1 right now. So Monday's the day of recording. We'll see what happens.
I love it. So this is like a casting call. If you want to be a part of it, please reach out, message Michael, message myself. You can email me, ty@tylg.com. I'll get you connected. But this is like a casting call. If you'd like to come and play with us, be on the show, be showcased, get, an opportunity, but specifically to network with active real estate professionals and investors. So let's
Yeah,
finish.
one more thing, one more thing. If you
Please.
happen to run a Las Vegas real estate meetup,
Yep.
that would be something that we certainly want to come and feature, because again, part of the one rental at a time way is getting into real estate meetup. So if you have a real estate meetup coming up in the next couple of months, let me know about it. I will do my best to get a videographer with me, and we will go Gary V that thing, and I'll go network and talk to folks and feature everybody at the event. So let us know. This is exciting. Let's all do it together and see what happens.
This is so exciting. It's so awesome. I love it. Let's finish now, because we all want to know, what is the Fed doing? Where's the Fed at on all this? Is the Fed politically motivated by the election? I saw a lot of chatter like, oh, this is an election year. It's going to be fine. We're going to have a strong economy and a strong housing market. Talk about Fed meetings and comment on the Fed.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the political one, because I get that as well. And I can only speak to Jerome Powell, the president. This is the only person I've studied. There are 17 or 18 other members who very well may be political. I don't know them. I haven't studied them. But let's just talk about Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell has about a 16-month, maybe 18-month term left, right? He's nominated. He has a term. Jerome Powell has zero interest in being renominated. Trump has said bad things about Powell. Biden has said bad things about Powell. So in my opinion, Jerome Powell has no loyalty to either man. His loyalty is to his legacy, his reputation, what will be written about him in the textbooks. That is all that matters. And then the last thing to point out with Powell is he's already rich. He's like Richie Rich. So nobody's going to buy him. So in my opinion, Jerome Powell is playing for one thing: to be written about fondly in the textbooks like Paul Volcker is. And he's got 16 months left to do it. Why is that important? Well, we have an election this year. There is a Fed meeting in September right before the election. There is talk that Jerome Powell will make the first rate cut or a series of rate cuts, including September. I believe that the last thing he wants to do is have the first rate cut be September. So what does that mean? I believe at this point we are talking about a July rate cut, the first one, or December, unless something really bad breaks and all of that stuff. But I think if Jerome Powell, I believe if Jerome Powell had his wish, the first rate cut's not till December. So again, I know that a lot of people say Jerome Powell wants person A or person B to win. I don't think Jerome Powell cares. I think both men hate Powell, and Powell probably hates both men. So who cares? That said, we have a Fed meeting next week. More importantly, we also get what's called the dot plot. So we are all going to look at 18 dots across all these different metrics and see what the Fed is telling us. So first, no rate increase, no rate cut, March next Wednesday. Not coming. We've told you that for a long time. But it'll be interesting. When do these 18 dots tell us the first rate cut is coming? How many are in the summer? How many are next year? Last dot plot, nobody, zero, had rate increases. I have a sneaky suspicion that we might see some rate increases in the dot plot. Won't that freak the market out? Then they'll talk about unemployment. Then they'll talk about GDP. Are we going into a recession? Stagflation. Next Wednesday's dot, it's all about the dot plot for me next week. What are these folks saying? Pay attention.
Interesting times, folks. Well, I'll tell you one thing. If you really like this show, if you really want to know what's going on in the economy, specifically how it relates to real estate, subscribe, like, and follow. Michael, any last words, anything that you want to promote or talk about or anything that's going on?
Let's show this great t-shirt.
Yeah. Cash flow, baby.
Cash flow over everything. Why did I show it? This is a t-shirt. It's the only t-shirt available on my site, one rental at a time. You can only get it in March. It will no longer be available starting April 1st. So if you like this, if you're a fan of old gangster rap, you know what this shirt looks like. But yeah, this is yeah, only available in March. Get
I
yours
love
now.
it. I love it. Buy the merch. Go to onerentalataTime.com. Michael, thank you for all that you do. Have a great weekend, my friend.
Take care.